Well, hello there, everybody. Kazrim here. This isn't necessarily the video I really wanted to make, but it is the video I'm going to have to make. So we're going to talk about Europa Universalis V and some of the problems that I have with it. The game definitely has problems. If you want the TLDR, like you don't want to stick around for everything, you just want to see my thoughts and move on. TLDR, game's like a 6 out of 10. Wait like a year or two before buying. There you go. I have saved you time and hopefully money. You're welcome. Bye-bye. For those of you who want to stick around and like talk about some of the deeper issues that I have, and I'm going to try and keep this as short and like to the point as I possibly can. The game has some really serious issues, and I think that they're more core to the game rather than just like some general things. Like I know people have talked about like bugs, and I've experienced it as well. Some bugs, some crashing. Not nearly as much crashing. I think I've only experienced like maybe one crash, or like AI aggressiveness, and a lot of that stuff is stuff that could be fixed. It could be patched, etc., etc. Like those are like in flux, and I can accept that. The reality of it is that it's also really annoying because the game really should not have been released in its current state. I think this game needed another year to cook, or it should have just been released as early access, and it would not have felt nearly as bad, just kind of on a psychological thing. It wouldn't have felt nearly as bad, you know, having paid full price for this game, only for it to be like, yeah, so we're gonna start with this. First thing, this is just a tiny gripe, but like this right here, if you want to see the Tinto talks or whatever, if you click it, all it does is just open a browser, not even in client. It'll just, you know, alt tab the game and open up your browser to bring you to the forums. Kind of a missed opportunity. I really would have liked to see like that stuff like in browser. It just would have been nice because I'm lazy. But let's move on to like the actual meat. And by the way, this is what the audio actually sounds like, I promise. Let's talk about audio. Actually, that's one of the first things I really want to discuss. The music is for the most part pretty great. I don't know why the menu sounds so staticky and just kind of bad though. It is pretty terrible. But also the audio mixing is really rough for the game. Like it's really hard to balance it out. And sometimes it is like really super loud, or like really quiet. There doesn't seem to be a consistent happy medium, and music being dynamic does not mean going between I can't hear it and oh my god my ears are bleeding, right? It's really annoying. And just for reference, like in my let me take a look here. If I go to the sound output thing, I have Europa Universalis V at 35 right now out of 100, and then in client as well. Where is it? Audio. I have the audio reduced as well. Yeah. And then even through OBS, which I'm recording for, I have that reduced. I have the desktop audio at about -11 decibels. And on top of like some other things like audio ducking and stuff like that. So, you know, what you're hearing and what I'm hearing are probably very different. And I assure you, even with all that, this still kind of hurts my ears a little bit. And this is with me also messing with the audio for my headphones. So like if I, you know, turn it up or down, I don't think it affects anything with like what you guys hear. Hope it doesn't. But like it's kind of inconsistent, and that really does need to be fixed. It's pretty brutal. The next thing we're going to talk about is performance. There's no way to sugarcoat this. The performance is bad, dude. It is, whoo mama, it is bad. And I think part of it is I for sure believe that the game has a memory leak, but to be more specific, let me talk about what I'm using right now. For starters, this is on a like an SSD or whatever. I've got 32 gigs of RAM and a 3060 Ti. So maybe not like the absolute highest, but it's a little higher end, right? This is not the most, you know, it's maybe not like the best you can get with infinite money, but you know, I built a good computer. Let me show you this. We're just gonna click new game. Just enjoy. I'm not cutting this out, by the way. You get to sit here. This is, and if you alt tab, it'll take longer, by the way. So just know that you can't alt tab and like go read something while this loads. Yep. You having fun yet? You having a good time there? Still going, by the way. Dude. I haven't alt tabbed or anything. Not moving my hands, not moving my mouse, not touching the keyboard, nothing, nothing, nothing. It's just doing what it does. I'm not running anything in the background. All I'm doing is recording with OBS, and I'm not using heavy settings. Oh, look at that. We finally loaded in. Golden Horde hasn't shown up. Everything hasn't even loaded in yet. There's some of the names coming in. See what I mean? Dude, performance is dog water in this game. Like, there's no excuse, man. It is ass. And don't get me wrong, man. Look, when it comes to Paradox games, right? You know, and I've played a lot of them. Europa Universalis 3, Hearts of Iron 3, Hearts of Iron 4, Europa Universalis 4, Victoria 2, Imperator Rome, which I've been playing a lot more of lately. And now this, granted, the games, they run pretty fine, and when you get later into them, they maybe chug a little bit. Some turn into slideshows. I understand, I've done a Majapahit Shogun run in EU4. I trust me, if I didn't know any better, I would have said I was playing PowerPoint the game, right? But this is brutal, and it doesn't seem consistent either. Like, I've played in, like, Asia, like in Indochina, and it was fine. But I play like here for like Qatar and Empire, and it is like horrible, dude. And it's like, there's nothing here, dude. Why is performance so bad? Or like Ethiopian Empire, I found to be particularly rough, and I don't know if it's like the mountains or something, or if there's just something busy happening in the background that I don't understand. And I don't have the settings set to like maximum ultra. I try and set them down, dude. I try and turn off as much stuff as possible or mess with things. I reduce the max FPS to like 60. I don't even know why it was set to 120. I personally wouldn't even notice the difference, but it just feels really bad. And for some nations that are fine, I find that by the time I get into like the 1400s, it just starts to just die, dude. It starts to just die. And dude, that's a brutal thing to deal with. Yeah, so there's that. Like the performance aspect of it is probably the biggest gripe. I think that there is a memory leak. I've checked with Task Manager several times, and I've noticed that, like, I've seen it go as high as like 70% on like memory usage. So I think, like, the longer you have the game running, the like worse it's going to get progressively, which generally tells me that there's probably going to be a memory leak. The only other game in my lifespan that I've been able to identify a memory leak with would probably be I believe it was actually Dawn of War Soulstorm was known to have a memory leak, and I think that's the only one that I've ever noticed. I'm not saying there's probably other games I've played that have memory leaks in them, but I maybe just didn't notice, or just just didn't play them enough to really notice it. So yeah, performance is like the biggest thing, and I don't think that this coming patch is going to change it, or in any meaningful way. I'm not really going to hold out on a hope for that. So if one of your big sticking points of why you haven't purchased this game yet was concerns about performance, I would seriously caution that you wait. Because right now it's just unacceptable. It is horrible, dude. It's horrible bad. And that's just the honest truth from you. And I gave you my specs. I know I also have a good CPU. I just can't remember for the life of me what it is, and it probably doesn't matter, right? Yeah. It's brutal. Next thing I want to talk about is like flavor and content. I don't think I think for the most part it's pretty dry of a game. Like, some nations are really flavorful and have all kinds of cool interactions, like forming Russia with like Muscovy or whatever. Has a lot of interesting interactions and like unique buildings and unique cabinet stuff, and oh my god, look at that, dude. Look at that zoom in and out. It's so choppy. Jesus. But yeah, it has a lot of unique stuff, whereas like Germany doesn't really feel all that great. Granted, I don't play in Europe very often or very much at all. I've played like Muscovy. I've been working on like Wolgas, trying to get that going, but that's about it for me with what I play in Europe. So I can't speak to Europe too terribly much. Where I usually play in this game is like the Sahel, or like, you know, the Congo, or, you know, Lake Victoria, or, you know, South Africa, Madagascar, like that. Those are my areas where I have interest in, and also like Southeast Asia, specifically like Maritime Asia. That's a huge area of interest for me, and I want to play as some of these guys down here, but it's just, oh my god, it's just like not really super playable as some of these smaller dudes. Partially because they're, sorry, I got the hiccups. The Red Turban Rebellion is just like bugged. A lot of their content they want to put in through like situations, but a lot of the quote unquote situations are either really easy to just ignore, to just straight up ignore, because like, you know, sometimes you can just ignore the problem and it really will go away, or you're just not really connected to it, so, you know, you have no way to like influence it unless you're like directly affected by it. Otherwise, they're like buggy as hell. I have done several campaigns, specifically as these small guys down here, such as uh, I'm gonna try and pronounce this, Bojo and Dali. Like, I've tried playing as them, Sushi, Liang. You know, I've tried these guys, and like the Red Turban Rebellion stuff just straight up doesn't work, and it doesn't really feel like there's anything I can do about it, and that really sucks. And I'd like to be able to do a full campaign as like one of these smaller guys and break free and, you know, form my own kingdom and all that stuff. But like, yeah, it just doesn't work. So that sucks. And even if they do fix it, like, it's kind of bland. None of these guys have events or unique tech. So, you know, cool. I guess. Um so they're just kind of there. They exist to die. That's awesome. um Down here, not really a whole lot of content either. Brunei has their one event where like after like one or two kings, you can flip to Sunni for free, and your guy will take the Shahada, and then you become, you know, the Sultanate of Brunei, and that's about it. They do get a formable Borneo, but it doesn't have any content. Okay. The reality of it is that from what I've experienced is that most events that people have for their flavoring is actually not events. It's just disasters that you get, and even then, it doesn't tell me like what they are. Like, there's no menu that I can check to see like what are my events look like, what are their requirements to have them happen, because some of them are so arcane. It's like on the third blood moon, you must ritually sacrifice your own flesh to a forgotten god, and then you get, you know, like plus 1% pop conversion speed. Congratulations. Like, dude, I don't have a degree in this. Like, I'm not a historian, man. Like, guide me a little bit, dude. You know, what is the point of having these country events if I cannot know what they are, what their conditions are, or when they can possibly happen? And that really sucks. So it's like, yeah, they have content, but they don't, because you can completely miss it entirely and forever, and you'll never ever ever know. Like, I can't go into the menus and see like what they are or what the disaster will be, because like I said, most of the, from what I've encountered, the like country events are literally just disasters. Start with play Canam Empire, start game, disaster. Play Mali, start game, you could get the decline of Mali if you're not careful. Play Ethiopia, you get this like event that'll lead to like a small civil war. um okay. Play Majapahit, you know, after a little while your king will die. By the way, Majapahit is bugged. Don't play them right now. They'll say your king died and that you have this disaster, but your king is still alive and is king. So I don't know. But what they don't tell you about some of this, like, there's so much lacking information that even when you are in a disaster, it'll leave out details. Like, did you know with Majapahit that if you don't deal with that disaster within 20 years, like, fix that shit, if you don't deal with it within 20 years, then when you do finally deal with it, you like lose all your vassals, which, like, I wish I knew that. Right, like, damn, tell me next time, dude. It's like, you know, it's so annoying. Or like with these guys here, Iota and Laval, they have this event chain that'll form Ayutthaya, but it doesn't tell you what the conditions for that are, or when that can happen, or why that happens. And so, like, I've tried playing as like Sukhothai or whatever, or even the Khmer Empire, And I have straight up like vassaled all of these guys, and then they just form Ayutthaya and it's independent. Like what? Well, at least if they're gonna form Ayutthaya, unite and form Ayutthaya, let me keep them. But like, all right, dude. Or like I've played Iota twice. The first time because Laval annexed me and there's nothing I could do about it. The second time, a couple months in, like a year or two in, boom, I just get Ayutthaya for free, and I don't know what causes that, and it's really annoying. So it's like on one hand, like, and I played Laval and I just chilled around and eventually it just formed. You know, it's just like this. It just doesn't work, man. It just doesn't feel like it was like really thought out, or like Ifat, you know, apparently they have an event. Couldn't tell you what it is, but Ajuran doesn't, and Mogadishu doesn't. Orsangali, you know, Tanare and Harla, they don't. Okay. All right. There's just so many, you know, Benin and Oyo, they don't have events. Or they do have events, but I just don't know what it is. Zazao has events. I don't know what it does, because I just went and formed Hausa with them. Hausa doesn't have any flavor, but Sokoto kind of does. Weird. I haven't had the pleasure of playing Ouagadougou yet, because I do want to form Mossy, but how am I gonna do that? You know, like, just the flavor stuff just straight up just doesn't work. And when it does work, it's actually instead it's just like we're gonna stab you and you're gonna lose like 20 stability and like 50 legitimacy, and if you don't fix it within 10 years you die, and we're gonna go, you know, repossess your house. Like, all right, dude. And it's just not fun when every event is just a disaster. Like I just want one nation that's not in Europe that I can play and chill out with, that's not like Zimbabwe. And just like have a good time, because it's just disaster. Like, dude, I get it that they want to keep it historical and stuff like that, but like, dude, you got to remember that this is still a video game, and like, I want to play the game, not be played by the game. I know some of it is skill issue. Look, I know, I get it. Someone somewhere is ready to say, Kazrim, that is skill issue. Absolutely, dude. Dude, I am not the gamer I was like 10, 15 years ago, man. I'm in my 30s now. Like, no, dude. I suck shit at games now these days, you know? And that's really annoying, man. Now there's some where you're expecting your disasters, like the Byzantine Empire, and that's really fun and everything, but yeah. Outside of that, I want to talk about two more things. Right? Two more things. The first one is I want to talk about the levy system and armies in particular. I think that is something that is massively going to have lasting difficulties for Europa Universalis V that I don't think people are talking about enough. So with the current patch right now, and by the time this video comes out, maybe that next patch comes out, I'm gonna try and get this before February. You know, right now it's like Bohemia and France are just so big and huge that they just blob out and eat everything here. So it's like you get the triumvirate of like France, Bohemia, and like, I don't know, like two Sicily sometimes are just hungry, right? Yes, the AI is super aggressive and is like schizophrenic and will no CB for no reason. But even outside of that, even if when they put those restrictions and whatnot, that doesn't actually fix the problem, because the other issue is just the levy system, right? Look, France can bring up 30,000 levies right now. Most princes in the HRE don't even have like 1,000. They're like 300. He's got 1,300. Good for him. You know, I think Luxembourg has like 1,000. Yeah. You know, a lot of these guys have like 1,000 or like less, and truth be told, that's like nothing, man. That is like you know, nothing. Bohemia has got almost 30,000. They've got tons of money. Hungary has, you know, 20,000 and tons of money. Their RGOs are legitimately blessed. I mean, gold, silver, iron, coal, wine, gems. Like, Bohemia is cracked. France has, you know, wine and dyes and, hey, legumes. We like legumes. You know, dyes and wine, and stone and fruit and some fur and Like they've got all this stuff, iron, sand. They're blessed, man. Lumber. They've got everything they need. Hungary, man. Look at Hungary. Gold, copper, iron, tin being like pretty hard to find, gems, lead, like they're blessed with really good RGOs. Where like your random HRE guy, like who is this guy here? Nuremberg? They've got sand, dude. What am I supposed to do with some sand and like two ducat tack base and Ed and Eddie for levies, man? Like what is this? Right? There needs to be like a minimum levy size. It cannot be, the minimum levy size should not be proportional to your population. I think it's a huge mistake because like you just exist to die and there's very little you can do about it. You know, if like for example the Palatinate decides that Nuremberg is gonna die, then Nuremberg is probably gonna die. Um, Now, like, obviously, you could maybe go after, like, Ansbach because they don't have a fort and you do. You can just pray they sit on your fort in attrition while you go siege down their shit, and you can peace out like that. But that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, and the biggest example I have of that is specifically Limbuan, which I've played. These guys are going to no CB you with their 21,000 dudes. You have to pray they go on, sit on your capital, and that you're fast enough to siege down their stuff, and you can just lightning piece them out. Otherwise, you just die. The levy system is going to always guarantee that the rich get richer in this sort of situation because honestly a lot of Europa Universalis V right now is sort of just like literal bigger army diplomacy until you can get regulars going, but that's locked behind an institution, which is wild. I don't think it should be an institution. Professional armies I really don't think should be, because what it does is like, yeah, it can like slow things down over here. It's not going to change anything over here. Like, I've already, I've done a stream playing as the Khmer Empire, and I literally just, like, plowed through as many nations as I could, just mass vassalizing people. Because coalitions do not matter when everybody coalitioning you has, like, less than 100 levies, or, like, none, or, like, 1,000, when I have, like, a shitload of money and tens of thousands of dudes, like, and vassals to back it up. Like, a coalition doesn't matter after a certain point. Once you're large, if you have a large enough base levy size plus vassals, no one can stop you. Like, you will run the game over. And professional armies, as an institution, sort of like hard locks a lot of areas into that sort of situation. Like over here, the only reason that this isn't all Molly sometimes is just because the AI decides to be benevolent. Like playing as like Oyo, Benin, or like Sokoto, I have no idea how I would handle Mali sometimes. Um, yeah, and mercenaries I know are kind of an answer, but once again, and I'm gonna go back to where are they? Where's Nuremberg? I can't find them anymore. Oh, there they are. I'm gonna go back to the example of Nuremberg. Nuremberg does not have money, dude. Your tax base 2, you don't have money. Mercs aren't on the table for you. Mercenaries are really expensive, and the system for how mercenaries work is kind of weird. Like, you can't afford it. You don't have the money, and they might not even be there. Like, if you're like around here or something, you probably don't have access to mercenaries. So, best of luck, dude. Um, and that's really really frustrating. And it's also the same thing with like being able to build docks and being able to build up a navy. Like, dude, you're telling me I can only build a wharf and like maybe some fishing villages until I get professional armies? Why? Or that might actually be like banking. It doesn't matter which institution it is. This is just an example. Locking certain things behind institutions that are kind of like sort of important, it really is going to always cause really schizophrenic things to happen, and is going to deliberately push me into a certain direction. So like, I know that whenever I'm playing in like these regions or like in Africa, like my go-to is to just consolidate as fast as humanly possible, because a coalition doesn't matter if I already have enough levies right off the bat to back it up, right? Um and like, that's just it. It's just solely bigger army diplomacy. And maybe if I'm significantly larger and I happen to have a fort on my capital in an underdeveloped region, I can just go mass cap their stuff and then peace out really fast while they're just sitting on my capital, just kind of attritioning. That's just how it is, man. I don't see that changing unless they really, really take a hard look at like rethinking on how the levy system works. Because like, dude, it's just like this with 300 levies is just wild. It's just it on its own. It's already like this. Why does this even exist? Why do they even have an event? Why put any dev time into them at all when you give them like this cursed situation? This is cursed, man. 2 ducats and like 300 alcoholics is not going to make a nation, right? But like, and don't get me wrong, I know that a good player can absolutely make this work, and you can play this that I can't pronounce, and I'm not gonna try to, or what is this, Rhynek, whatever. A good player can absolutely make these work. I am not that guy. I know I won't make them work. Like, I'm not going to have the heroic start as Demot with my 300 dudes and go beat up the entire Ethiopian empire. Like, brother, it's not happening. I'm not the guy. I'm sure there are infinitely better players that can do it, but not me. The last thing I want to talk about is the next coming patch has some changes that I'm really concerned about. For starters, they're going to be hitting Brandenburg again with another disaster that just looks straight up terrible. I don't like that. Granted, I have more interest in playing like their northern neighbors and forming Pomerania and being their rival and like making their life miserable, but like I don't need the game to do what I can already do for me, and I feel bad for anybody that likes to play Brandenburg because they're looking unplayable, man. But more importantly, I want to talk about the complacency mechanic, and I think that's the biggest one that I'm really looking forward to. And I'm not even going to talk about Mesoamerica or like North America, Mesoamerica, or South America. I think that's a whole different thing. But for the sake of arguments, I'm actually going to open up a save that I have. Where is it? Should be Pueblo. You would think, I think it's this one. I really need to organize my saves. I'm gonna, just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna open this up so that you can see what I'll be talking about. And I hope that this will make sense. By the way, I hope this is not super loud. I still am, because like, dude, it's deafening me. Oh my god, my ears, man. But okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so I have formed the Pueblo in this, and by the way, I managed to get wood through an event. That's why I'm building this. So in case you're like, how did you do that? Right. Who would I rival? For the complacency thing, like, genuinely, who would I rival? I don't even think I can declare war on these guys. Yeah, I can't rival them. Like, what would I do? Do I just die to complacency? Is that what happens? Right? Just because there's nobody around me, do I just die of complacency? Right? Like, it just seems like a really bad mechanic. By the way, you get to see the performance happening all over again. Yeah. And that's really annoying. That really is annoying. I'm gonna go back to the world map, and I'm actually gonna cut it so that you guys don't have to sit through that loading screen again. Uno momento. All right, we're back. There's another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to complacency. The Kataran Empire. They are an empire. They are literally empire rank. And the thing is that complacency feeds into the decline of empire disaster. Am I just going to get hit by that because there's nobody around for me to rival? Like, do I just get screwed just because I'm just here? And because I'm an empire? Because that sucks. Or what about Canem? Canem's already in a horrible situation. Am I going to get double whammied by complacency, the initial crisis, and then go straight into decline of empire or whatever? Like, that's not cool. I don't want this. I really wish that they would bin this mechanic. I don't think it's going to actually accomplish anything. Like, I don't think it's going to stop Khmer from blobbing out. I don't think it's going to make the Golden Horde explode. I don't think it's going to stop France or Bohemia or Hungary or Naples or Castile or whatever, right? I just don't think it's going to, like, break those blocks because of what I talked about with the levy system and professional armies, which is kind of like one of the bigger causes, and I think the sticking power of the big boys is more of like the symptom rather than the disease itself. So really, this mechanic, I'll tell you exactly what I will do in the future because of the mechanic of complacency and like decline of empire. I just will never go to empire rank. I will just stay kingdom. There you go. I will just choose not to interact with it. It's that simple, man. Like, okay, cool. I can just be a tier 3. I don't really lose anything from it. Like, I don't care about an artist. I'm sorry. I just don't. One artist and maybe a couple other small things. Cool. I'll live. But I just won't take empire. Because of how complacency works, and if you're in a situation where there's like literally nobody for you to rival, especially if you're just super isolated, why would I shoot myself in the foot like that? Like, why do that to myself? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here, man. Is it just me, or is anyone else like? I hope that at least maybe someone like that watches this like hears that and is like, oh damn, you know. But yeah, so those are my problems with the game, man. Those are just some of them. The game has a lot of problems, dude. It really does. I want to like the game a lot, but dude, it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work, and some of it I find to be a little bit more fundamental. I haven't even talked about like how army organization works, and showing comparisons between like that and how you could organize your levies and armies in Imperator Rome and how that worked pretty smoothly. I haven't talked about like, you know, decisions or mission trees or anything like that, and it doesn't matter what anybody feels about that stuff. It's just you know, it's just an argument I'm just not going to deal with. There's just so many other things, or like, you know, where are the playable nations here, man? Where's my Haida at? Where's Haida? Or like, you know, last thing, pop-based countries. Why does this even exist, dude? You can't play as them. Like, I don't care that the yeah, these guys are here. Like, okay, and it's Terra Nullis as far as the game is concerned. Like, why when I play as Zimbabwe do I have a bunch of like tributaries of just like peoples that do nothing and accomplish nothing? Like, you can't even interact with them really, to my understanding, from what I've seen. So like, why are they there, dude? Why does this have dev time? Is this what's causing performance issues? Get rid of them. There. Thank you for your time. Going forward, I don't know if I'm gonna make Europa Universalis 5 videos for a while. I will try to if the next patch is actually pretty good, which I'm hoping it is. We'll see, but you know, in the future, I'm just gonna keep doing what I do and make some good videos, and we'll have good times. I have hope for the game. I'm not saying the game is cooked. It can never be salvaged. Of course it can. It's just, it's gonna take a while. Oh, that's a little graphical glitch. That's cool. Sick, dude. Maybe not the best start ever, but it can get better. It can. It's just balls in their court, and I really hope that they pull it off and make something great. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you so much. Really, it is always a pleasure making videos for you guys, and I super appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful time, and I'll be back soon with more videos. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye, and say goodbye to Sushi Cat. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.